Hello, everyone. This is Harman Smith. Check out my Patreon. Check out my books. Buy my books. Subscribe to the channel. Support my memberships. And yeah, here we are with Arlo. Here we are with Arlo. Okay, so this is actually quite an old video. This is. I don't think this was the Nintendo, the direct Nintendo needs right now. Okay, so I actually, I believe I did react to this video, or at least I watched it like back when it first came out, because I was kind of laughing at it at how ridiculous it was. Because we spent like all of last year being told that like, oh yes, Nintendo's gonna have a big blowout direct where they show off all the real big games for the Switch 2, and then it just never happened. To this day we still haven't gotten it. But people like Arlo were spurging out about it because like, what do you mean? Like all we're getting this year is Donkey Kong Bonanza, Mario Kart World, Kirby Air Riders, Pokemon Legends ZA, Metroid Prime 4, like Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment. That's not enough. Like, oh, like you saw a lot of that at the time. And Arlo was very much leading the charge. And the reason I'm covering this video today is that like we just saw a release date trailer for Splatoon Raiders. We got a good look at the game. We got some footage. We know who the characters are. We know like a general idea what it looks like and what you do in it. Entirely not in a Nintendo Direct. So I think what Nintendo is doing now is that they're phasing out the Nintendo Direct in order to stop videos like this from being made. Because this is like what's been happening for years now, is that you see people like this, they come out, complain about everything, bitch, moan, whine, complain, and then like they get upset when like Nintendo doesn't release more directs so they can do the same thing over again. Every time Nintendo doesn't release a direct, you have people like this spurging out about it and saying the company is doomed. But as we're seeing today on Nintendo today, they don't really need the direct format anymore. They have like their own built-up online platforms, and influencers are seething because like they're just not capable of coming out with a video in order to damage control like these announcements after they drop. Because people aren't paying attention to their Twitters, people aren't paying attention to their socials. Like the only way they had any relevancy at all was by doing like live reactions as the direct aired and immediately like just writing certain things off. Things like Pokepia, things like Tamagotchi, things like Rhythm Heaven Groove, things like Splatoon Raiders, right? Like they've just been like Kirby Air Riders. How many times last year did we see these people complain about Kirby Air Riders getting like multiple directs and a lot of focus? So yeah, we're basically seeing the end of the YouTube grift era, where it's going to be harder and harder for these people to influence anyone's opinions. Like, Nintendo today is basically what the direct was for Game Churnos, is that it makes them completely obsolete.
Nintendo Direct. As always, I will go over my overall thoughts at the end, but I am going to start by saying it was a weird Direct. Like sometimes we get like just a bunch of clean, simple announcements, generate like a lot of hype. It's just perfect. And then sometimes we get these oddballs, that just kind of throw us for a loop. This was one of those, and sometimes oddball directs are good, but personally, it felt like there were just a lot of catches, like a lot of really cool stuff, but there was always like this little catch. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going to try to go through the highlights pretty quickly so we can get to that big discussion at the end. The presentation started with the Mario 40th anniversary stuff, and there was a pretty good little chunk here. I mean, it was probably the most like consistently good part of the Direct. A lot of people were saying that it should have been like its own separate presentation, but like, no, I say it was perfect here because the rest of the Direct kind of needed it, like it kind of lifted the whole thing up. So the first major announcement was the name of the next Mario movie, the Super Mario Galaxy movie. You bet your bippy that's gonna get its own video. But that was cool. It was a cool way to like start. We even got like a little animated like teaser thing to go with it. I thought that was cool. Then a solid anniversary flavored re-release reveal, Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, which are apparently going to be sold separately and as well as together in a pack. Gonna talk about the pricing and all that later. So that's cool. I mean, obviously that's great. We finally get to play Galaxy 2 on Switch. That's cool. They also revealed some really cool looking amiibo. Those are cool amiibo.
Yep.
The Rosalina
Mine are
one,
getting shipped here
her,
right
like,
now.
reading the
It's exciting.
book with the Lumas. I think I might have to get that one. It is weird, though. It's releasing 6 months later. Is that weird? They're re-releasing Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, and then you gotta wait 6 months for the release of the amiibo. I don't know. I guess maybe they'll tie in with the movie, if the movie is Galaxy as well. So I don't know, whatever. And then Koizumi came on. It was really cool to see Koizumi again. I don't even know the last time he hosted a Nintendo Direct, so it was really neat to see him. And it was really funny because, you know, the whole story with, like, Miyamoto is trying to make Galaxy, and Koizumi wants to put the storybook in, and Miyamoto doesn't want it, so he has to, like, sneak it in. So then here he's like, here's Koizumi to talk about that storybook thing that I hate. He handed it over to him, and then he specifically talked about the storybook. It was cool to see him, though. And then the surprise announcement that they're putting the storybook in both games, which is really weird. I mean, like, it was a bummer that Galaxy 2 didn't have anything like it, but, like, I never imagined that they would just put the whole thing into it. And they're adding new pages, so that's really interesting. And then they're also creating a physical book of the storybook. That's really cool. That's going to be an amazing collector's item. So then they had even more games to reveal in celebration of the anniversary. We had Mario Tennis Fever. I've gone back and forth on if I want to talk about this in a whole video. I don't want it to just sound like I'm complaining the whole time, because it, like, I don't know. It looks kind of cool, and the story mode looks like it could be cool, but it also kind of just looks like a whatever game. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, I guess
game's awesome.
I'll talk about it later. A new tennis game. Okay, sure. Yeah, that's a game. That's a game that people will buy. People like Mario Tennis. And then I totally called it, but it did feel obvious. They revealed Super Mario Bros. Wonder Switch 2 Edition. And this is another thing I will definitely be talking about elsewhere, but it was one of those little catches where it's like, here's extra content for Mario Wonder. It's all multiplayer. It's all like multiplayer stuff. But they said that they would reveal more later, so there's probably going to be some single player stuff too. It was just, I don't know. It was kind of funny. And they revealed the talking flower statue. Because why not, I guess? It seems kind of cool. I like the talking flower. He mentions that they talk on their own sometimes. That's kind of a deal breaker, though. I don't actually. Is there an off switch? I don't know if I actually like that. And then a reveal of a brand new Yoshi game. Definitely going to get a whole video. I want to really take a hard look at the trailer and go over all of that. But it was funny. The June 2017 Direct was the first major Direct after the launch of the Switch, and it revealed a Yoshi game. And now this is the first major Direct after the launch of the Switch 2, and here you go. Here's the next Yoshi game. I guess that's just kind of the pattern they are upholding. Then we had like a big chunk of third parties. It probably wasn't even that big of a chunk, but somehow it really felt like it. You know, that's one of the problems.
Yeah, nobody cares about the third party games.
There was a lot of like third party fluff and like coming off of the Mario stuff, and then just like boo, just like nose diving straight into this boring third party stuff I've never even heard of. It was a bit of a bummer. But then we got a taste of Tomodachi Life, and it looks cool. It looks funny. I haven't played the original, but this one looks funny. It looks good. I just don't know why they announced it so long ago. Like, it's gonna be like a year between reveal and release for this. I don't really get it. It doesn't seem like that kind of game, but yeah, it's coming next year, spring next year. Okay. And there was a trailer for Hades too.
Yeah,
and
it's out now.
The animation was really cool. Really, really amazingly cool. But yeah, it turns out it's a timed console exclusive on Switch. It's coming to PC and Switch,
cares.
and I don't know when it's going to come to other consoles.
Nobody cares.
You could definitely call that.
NOA needs to get better Switch
but I do
exclusives.
feel like that is probably not.
Yeah, when Damon Baker was still there, they were getting like all these really good like Nintendo exclusive indie games, but that doesn't happen in a long time. Like, I think the liberals there are more interested in pushing like woke shit like this instead of the good stuff that comes out. But
I don't know. Not helping people not be annoyed at them. You know what I mean? I feel like this is just a recipe for making all the other console people mad, but whatever. Then they touched briefly on Kirby Air Riders, talked about how you can use Amiibo as figure players, which I suppose we should have expected. That's a total Smash thing. It's a total Sakurai thing. And they revealed some Kirby Air Riders amiibo, which look really cool.
Awesome.
And you can like swap them. That's really neat. It makes me wish almost that amiibo were like a bigger thing and there were like more of these and we could swap them, but it's really
Wow, amiibo were a bigger thing. I love how these people like act as if amiibo like fell off at a certain point. Like they're not a huge moneymaker for Nintendo because they've clearly like established a formula where they do a big release of a major game and like, by the way, here's a high quality figurine to go with it. Like clearly that's doing well for them. Okay. Like I'm just like, I'm very, very confused about like the insistence of these people that like, oh no, amiibo, nobody cares about that. Like it put every other Toys to Life figure out of business. Like you don't see any, like what Skylanders game have you bought recently? Like, come on.
it's just the two, and you can swap them back and forth, but it's a really cool idea. And they announced another Direct because Sakurai is a madman, so yeah, apparently we're gonna get another Kirby Air Riders Direct soon.
We got another
trailer
Air Riders.
for Age of Imprisonment, and it looks cool. They all look cool. I'm sure the game is gonna be cool. I mean, definitely the best parts were release date was number 2.
Did he even play this game? Like whenever he says something looks cool and doesn't go into detail, it just feels like he's just glazing past it just to bring it up, but isn't actually going to talk about it again. I really wonder if he actually played this.
Nice to finally have a release date for this year. It didn't get delayed. That's nice. Nothing ended up getting delayed. Best part though, number 1, is that cool Korok. Who's that? Cool little Korok character who fights, who isn't Hestu. I'm there. This just became my favorite Zelda character ever, and I've only seen a couple of seconds.
I love
reveal for a remake of Dragon Quest VII. I do have to say, like, I don't follow this series. I mean, there's a lot of series that I don't follow, but it just feels like there's so many remakes. I just can't keep track. I can't keep up. I don't even know what has. Apparently, this one has already been remade. There's already a remake on the 3DS, and this is another newer remake.
Yeah, the 3DS version's better.
I don't know. I like the art style though. I think
still
it's
have
cool.
not finished it.
Weird. It's like they took the original art and they kind of just like
after I finish Berseria, I might go back and finish Dragon Quest VII Rand Management, but we'll see.
Translated it to 3D, but it ends up looking kind of weird, and everybody has like really big heads and faces. And I like it though. It's so strange, but it's unique. And yeah, I was saying this on the stream, how just like I will take weird and unique over generic any day, you know? And Kira Toriyama style art, like it already has its own particular look about it, and I love that. But then here, seeing it like kind of weirded in another way, I think it's cool. I think the game overall looks pretty charming. Then they revealed Virtual Boy games coming to NSO, along with a Virtual Boy accessory that lets you virtually play Virtual Boy games. And we're going to talk about that later, because it's so weird. Stardew Valley Switch 2 Edition, a very cool announcement. It's coming with 4-player split screen. It's going to use game share, so only one person needs to own the game for everybody to play it. And then, of course, mouse controls. I mostly bring it up just to say I really wonder, like, is this a standalone purchase? Is there going to be like a retail purchase? Is there an upgrade path? This doesn't seem like the kind of thing that Eric Barone would charge for. You know, like updates have all just been free like forever. So I'm like, is this going to be it's Switch 2 Edition. That usually means a standalone release that you can pay to upgrade. But there have been other Switch 2 editions, at least 1 or 2, that were either free or very, very cheap to upgrade. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how that turns out. Suika Game Planet. It's a little funny to bring this up, but you know, like that game, Suika Game, was really popular for like a bit, and I actually ended up playing one of like the mobile knockoffs a good amount. It's actually really fun, and you know what? I'm weirdly excited for this one here. These games are fun, but they're like so frustrating because you just run out of places to drop your fruit, but like now you can drop it from the outside. I feel like that's gonna be so much easier to like find a place to drop some. I don't know, I could be wrong. Maybe it's harder in its own ways, but like, I think I'm actually kind of excited to play this. Then we had a trailer for Metroid Prime 4. Cannot say a thing. Cannot say a single thing. I gotta save it. I gotta say it. The only thing I will say... Okay, I have two things I will say. One, release date. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, it feels good. It feels really good to finally have a date. And then the amiibo is really cool. All of those amiibo are really cool. The, I'm kind of, I just want the bike one. I don't know. The bike one is really cool. I don't have a lot of money to spend on more amiibo. So I'm kind of like, do I skip out on the other two and just go for the bike? Or do I have to get all the amiibo because it's Metroid? And of course I have to have all the Metroid amiibo. Really having a hard time figuring that the two sides of my brain kind of at war right now. Then they revealed DK Bonanza DLC. Yep. Which I have some conflicted feelings about, but that's actually probably going to be a main channel video. I want to talk about
So wait. So all he's doing is just going over a brief overview of everything. Like he's not even like really talking about the games. He's just like, oh, that looks cool. But like again, the reason that we're reacting to this is like the hot take. You know, the fact of the matter is that like, oh no, this isn't the direct Nintendo needs right now. So, like, again, this is the reality of what we're seeing, is that he's just glazing past all these amazing games, all of which are out by now, by the way. All these amazing games to push some narrative that this direct was underwhelming.
Reveals for DK Bonanza and Pokemon Legends ZA DLC in this direct. It's kind of spawned a bigger conversation, so I'll probably just leave that there. But, I could say on a surface level, it was like, oh, it was cool. It was cool that they had DK DLC to show us. And then, yeah, of course, Pokemon, it also had a new trailer and its own DLC announcement. The trailer, yeah, I don't know. I is it like annoying that I keep bringing it up, that it feels like there's something this game is hiding? I don't know. It just kind of felt like, okay, it's kind of now or never. The game comes out so soon. If there's going to be they've not shown us the whole game. What? They just every single new trailer. It's like, hey, what do you do during the day? What does it actually look like when you're out there? What do the wild areas look like? Are they literally just city streets with Pokemon in them? Or like, are there actual places where it feels right to go catch Pokemon? What does a day look like?
I need to go back to
and they just keep not telling us. The game comes out like a month. And they didn't show us now, and I'm starting to wonder if there is anything they're hiding, or if, like, I don't know, we've basically seen the whole game. I don't know. Whatever. Then we got a reveal for Pokopia. Weird. Definitely weird. Some sort of like Dragon Quest builders kind of thing. But it's Pokemon. That is certainly a whole topic in and of itself. It was an interesting reveal though, and pretty cool. I think it looks pretty neat. Then I am getting really lucky here. You know, I've probably said it before, but like, I don't have an absolute ton of different gaming interests right now. Like, they're kind of boiling down, and right now it's like the main Nintendo stuff, and then beyond that it's like Resident Evil and FromSoft. And those are like my biggest things, and like the last two Nintendo Directs have just given like extra focus on these two things. In April it was Elden Ring and it was Duskbloods, and then here the Direct practically closes out with Resident Evil Requiem coming to Switch 2. So that's really cool. I'm really happy to see that. And they're putting 7 and 8 on there as well. 7, 8, and 9. Same day. I love the confidence. I absolutely love it. With Nintendo, we're always wondering, like, oh, like, are they gonna release like the earlier game before the release of the next game so that people can play? Would they want to release them that close together? Maybe they don't want to cannibalize sales. Capcom is just like, nah, just do it. Just throw it on there. Same exact day. Resident Evil 9 hits Switch 2. 7 and 8 are also going to be there. Is that, well, what if people buy 7 and 8 and that makes them not buy 9? It doesn't matter. They're just all there. And I love it. And it's great. I probably won't play Requiem on Switch 2, at least not the first time. I'd rather have it with like the better performance and visuals and stuff. I'm going to be playing on a TV anyway. But I love knowing that the option is there if it ends up being very, they're all pretty replayable. So like, I love the idea of maybe potentially having 7 or 8 on my Switch 2 at some point. I guess I haven't decided yet. And then the presentation ended with Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. And
is he gonna do the thing? Is he gonna do the thing?
This is where I have to be careful because, like, I know.
Oh no, he's scared to do the thing. Oh no. Okay, so if you don't know what the thing is, like 10 years ago, like a lot of Nintendo YouTubers like Arlo, Scott the Woz, people like that, they made a name for themselves for being the sort of people that like constantly complain about new Fire Emblem games and like anime stuff. So like every time we get a new Fire Emblem or a Xenoblade or anything that looked vaguely anime, you would see like the BitBlock come out and like sneer at it. Like, I don't want this anime bullshit from my Japanese company. So yeah, obviously, like eventually they started getting clowned on for it, and so like they've had to kind of like backtrack on it. Like now they pretend to be huge fans because they know that if they get vocal about like how they actually feel about it, that like it'll it'll expose them as fraud. Like people will get mad at them.
That like Fire Emblem it's a good series. I really loved Three Houses.
What? Oh, you didn't?
It's got
Poser.
fans. It's not the biggest series.
Wrong.
But it's also not the smallest series. You know, like I don't want to be a hypocrite.
What do you mean, like not the biggest series? Like Nintendo's come out and said it's like one of their most profitable IPs now because of like how it's like it's been so good at like the waifu shit. Okay, it's like their waifu brand now. So I don't.
They ended a direct with a reveal for a 2D Metroid. I'd be like, oh wow, it's a great way to end a direct, even though that's only going to sell like a couple million units.
What?
You know,
What? Fire Emblem's way bigger than Metroid. What are you talking about?
Especially compared to Mario or Pokemon or whatever. It's a valid game, and it's probably going to be good. I'm sure it's going to be good. It's just, I do have to wonder if it was the right choice for the end of this direct here.
What?
And I'm trying to put my personal thoughts aside. And if you do want my personal thoughts...
How many... Okay, Fire Emblem has been like a direct closer for like over a decade. Why? Because Awakening was such a huge cultural phenomenon with like hardcore 3DS fans. They know that this is going to get people excited. And yet you have Arlo coming out and being like, well, actually, plenty of people don't like these. Like, this isn't the right game to close the direct. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, what would you have announced? Like, what in this presentation would you have like had as like the direct closer? Like nothing was interesting as this. Like nothing.
Here, I'm a little iffy on this. Like I said, I loved Three Houses, but I did not love Engage, and part of the problem was just its overall, like, kind of, I don't know, more like over the top and cartoony style, and this kind of seems to be following along with that.
Engage is awesome. What are you talking about?
Three Houses was at least a little bit more, I don't know, it just had like a more serious, high fantasy kind of feel to it. So I don't know quite how I feel about how this game looks. But I also don't know, and again, that's not exactly the point. So now is where I get to the overall thoughts about the Direct. It's a hard situation because it's one of those things where if you look at every individual announcement, there was a really good amount of stuff here. Like, there really was. Like, that's a good amount of brand new games. Yeah, you've got Fire Emblem, you've got Pokopia. Like, I don't know exactly how big that game's gonna end up being, but I could see it doing pretty darn well. You know.
Wow, Pokopia, the highest selling, most critically acclaimed game of the year so far. Wow. Arlo.
New trailers and release dates, Age of Imprisonment, Metroid Prime, this, a whole bunch of Amiibo were announced here, all of the Mario anniversary stuff, Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, we got a new Yoshi game, we got a new Mario Tennis game, we got the name and a teaser for the Mario Galaxy movie. That's a lot of stuff. That's really not a bad amount of stuff. And not every Direct has to be filled with only the biggest bombshells that appeal to the broadest audiences, like, really content-wise, it's not a problem to be just kind of, just like pretty okay, pretty fine. The problem is that Nintendo really, really needed a win today.
Yeah, and they did. Yeah.
They needed a clear and easy victory.
Yeah, and they did. You know how? You know how they won? By actually announcing games. again, like these people are always doing this thing where like, well, this isn't get people hyped. This isn't going to get people to watch my video. So that's not a win for Nintendo. Like, what are you talking about? They already won. Like the Switch 2 was successful by this point. They had Bonanza, they had Mario Kart World, and here you are, like acting as if all these very big announcements aren't that big of a deal. It's a complete joke. It is a complete joke.
They are having a problem right now, a really big
Like
problem.
what?
The entire, I was talking about the Nintendo.
Yeah, a problem that you caused. Cause like every time they do one of these things, you come out and you're just like, oh, this wasn't good enough. Like this is why they're fixing the problem by cutting you out entirely. You're done. Nintendo Today exclusives going forward. No more Nintendo Directs. Thank you, Muppet. Like this is their mentality now. Like you brought this on yourself because you would not stop bitching.
Discourse. There's a problem right now. And even on top of all of the issues with pricing and people just kind of feeling like Nintendo was losing their way or whatever, Nintendo is also just not doing as good of a job as I think any of us expected of convincing people that they need to get a Switch 2 right now.
Yeah. Is that why it's like the fastest selling hardware ever? Is that why it's like it's probably over like definitely over 20 million, I think, by this quarter. The financial reports are dropping in May, so we'll have a pretty good understanding. Like, the sales surged after Pokepia. Like, like the whole idea that like, oh, they're not convincing enough people to buy a Switch 2. That's very obviously not true. Like, very obviously.
Whereas, like with the Switch, it was an immediately great value proposition, even just within the first year, even just between Zelda and Mario. That's so much amazing stuff to play. And then you also had like Splatoon and Xenoblade and all this other stuff. Whereas like the Switch 2, it came out swinging with Mario Kart and DK, but then like Mario Kart is proving to be very, very divisive. A lot of people are kind of souring on it, and Nintendo is not properly supporting it, and so it's just like another one of those things bringing the whole conversation down.
Nintendo is not properly supporting Mario Kart. The same Mario Kart that they dropped an update to the battle mode to out of nowhere. I don't even think Arlo even talked about that. Like, again, Mario Kart World is going to be supported with new content like that for years. And I think Arlo is he's very, very uninvolved with like, he just doesn't know that. He doesn't understand it. Is that like games like that are going to be updated forever.
And we're like, okay, what else is there for this year? And there are other games coming this year, but some of the most notable ones are cross-gen releases. So like, yeah, there will be a lot of people who buy a Switch 2 for Pokemon.
Okay. This is the thing that really gets me, that really bothers me about this, is like the attempt at like gaslighting people into thinking that like cross-gen releases are somehow going to lose Nintendo money. Like, hey, genius. Like, they have 155 million Switch 1s out there. Of course, they're going to keep releasing new games for it. Like, you simply don't have to upgrade to Switch 2 right away if you don't want to.
Legend ZA. Like, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. They're going to sell plenty. But, like, it's not going to be all of them. It's not going to be all of the people that it could be. I don't know. It's just, they needed something better than this. Purely because of the timing. This was their chance to give us at least one big hitter for 2026. Something to get us just like...
Fire Emblem was that. What is this mentality? Like, what is this idea that, like, they needed to... Like, this was the Pokepia release trailer, too. Yeah. So, So, like, they had a lot of big games, like, shown off in this Direct. Tamagotchi is doing well. Pokepia is the biggest game of the year so far. Fire Emblem is going to do well. Like, I don't understand his mentality on this. Like,
absolutely, completely stoked going into 2026, getting people just like, okay, I'm almost ready. Once this big new game comes out, I'm going to finally get a Switch 2. I don't know, none of these games were really it, like...
Wrong.
Mario Tennis is fine. It'll sell some millions of copies or whatever, but like it's not gonna move systems. Pokopia, again, maybe it'll end up being a big thing, but right now we barely even know what it is, so we're not really sure.
What a cope.
And then, yeah, just like, it's a direct.
Keep in mind, he's saying this, but he already owns a Switch 2. So like Arlo is kind of like debunking his own notion. Is that like, I'm not sure if anyone's gonna buy a Switch 2 because of this. Like, bro, you already own a Switch 2. You're watching the Nintendo Direct. You're gonna get a Switch 2. Okay, if you're watching Nintendo Directs, like you're gonna get a Switch 2. Okay, like that's the reality of this. Like people aren't watching Nintendo Directs and then going like, oh, I'm not buying a Switch 2. Like that doesn't fucking happen.
That feels kind of underwhelming. And then we're like, all right, but like, it's time for the one more thing. What's the one more thing? And it's Fire Emblem. And again, nothing wrong with Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem's cool. It's probably going to be maybe it'll be the best Fire Emblem game ever. I don't know. It's just not the most broadly appealing game. It's a very predictable series, you know, like they come out really regularly, and maybe that's another thing that kind of robbed this of a little bit of the magic. It's just kind of like, oh, well, yeah, we expected Fire Emblem to pop up at some point. I don't know. Is this making sense? It's just between their public image and the perceived value proposition of the Switch 2 as it currently is. This was the time to deliver, and they just didn't really deliver. They gave us a good direct. You know, it was good, but it was like, okay, well, you really have to talk about the entertainment value. As always, you know, I'm always going to look at a direct like this. It comes down to the games on one side, what was announced, and then just how fun was it to watch. And it's funny that the how fun was it to watch matters that much. The games should be the only thing that matters, and yet, like, I don't know, people's like energy, their spirit coming away from the presentation, it seems to really matter. It has a big effect on the whole conversation. And this direct was just too long. Like, it was an hour long. It was a little over an hour. And that initially, it was like, oh man, they must have a whole lot to show. Because like in recent, that's the other thing. The Switch generation, its directs were so good. Like almost every major.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's forget this, the farming direct. Let's forget all the bad directs. Yeah, like they were all good. Like it's just like, again, like talk about nostalgia.
Direct during the Switch generation. It was just banger after banger after banger. So many bombshell announcements, and they were so entertaining, and they weren't full of fluff. You know, they weren't full of all this like worthless stuff. It just, they were snappy, and they always felt fun, and you would end feeling like it was just this crazy buffet of announcements. And so like, where's that? This was not that. It was an hour long, so we thought, oh, they must have a lot to announce. But like, no, they could have easily shaved off 15 minutes of that direct, or split it off into a separate, another like partner direct or something. But like,
they did. They announced the Kirby Air Riders second direct in this. So again, his own argument doesn't even work. Like, what's he talking about?
It was too long. It's the same problem that you get with like Game Awards or Summer Game Fest, where you look at all of the announcements and you go, no, it really did reveal a lot of stuff. It's just that it was so long, and it made me sit through so much stuff I didn't care about that it felt like it was a bad show. That's kind of what's happening here. A lot of good announcements, but overall, just the quality of the presentation just wasn't there. And you add that on top of everything, and you add in some of the weirdness in here, you know, like, the DLC problem. Oh, so they're giving us DK DLC, and it looks like they just like held it back from the base game so they could sell it to us right after launch. And then Pokemon, they're announcing DLC before the game even comes out, and they announced Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, but they're $40 each, and the whole package is $70. So it's like it's just even more. The Virtual Boy, again, talk about the whole thing later, but like, oh, this stupid peripheral is $100. It's just like, it's already so much, and they've just put more fuel on the fire while simultaneously just not delivering. It's just, I don't know. They kind of just messed it up in so many different ways.
Wrong.
And just wasn't the time to do that. So it's a bit of a bummer. There's always next year. There's always, you know, maybe they'll do another one in February, but now it's just like, well, we've been waiting for this one, you know, kind of waiting for this one to reinvigorate the Nintendo sphere, give us some new stuff to be excited about. I thought that would be this, but now it's like, okay, well, we'll just wait 6 months or whatever. Okay, fine. We'll see. But I have talked long enough and I have too many other videos to do, so I'm going to go off and start doing those. Thank you for watching. I love you dearly.
So he's basically just all he's doing is just complaining about Fire Emblem. That's it. Like, oh, that's not a big announcement. No, Pokepia's not a big announcement. No, Tamagotchi Life isn't a big announcement because that's a Switch One game. Like, it's just a gigantic cope. Like, that's all there is to this. Is that like this is just Arlo coping and seething. So anyway, thank you all for watching. I will see you all next time. Be sure to like this video, to comment, to subscribe, to support my memberships, support my Patreon, and especially buy all of my books. I will see you all next time.